Hey dudes, welcome back to Pepper's Pages. Today I wanted to talk about Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. Haunted follows a group of strangers who are invited to a writing retreat, most of whom believe this will be some fancy, luxurious island where they will abandon their lives for 3 months in order to write the thing that will launch their careers and make them a lot of money. As they come together and realize the truth, they find out that the person who invited them here is not who he says he is, nor are the people that are with them, and lots of very gruesome things happen, and it is absolutely a trip. If you don't already know, Chuck Palahniuk is mostly known for his book, The Fight Club, which I've seen the film once, I believe. I have not read the book yet. I would love to, but there are a few other stories by him that I would like to experience first. Going into this, I had absolutely no idea what to expect. I picked it up solely for the author's name and the short description on the back. I will say that this is very disturbing if you have issue with gruesome details and overall just horror themes. This won't be for you, but this is absolutely right up my alley. What made this super interesting to me is that it not only has like a solid plot to it of these people coming together and just horrible things happening to them, but it is also mixed with poems and short stories, which are the thing that make this book for me. Right off the bat, we start with Guts, which if you've never read this, please look into it before you do. It is very, very gross. I was only familiar with it because when I was in high school, probably about 15, a friend of mine had mentioned it, and being curious, I googled a PDF of it, and it stuck with me forever. I still think about it and was pleasantly surprised that it was in this. It is literally the first story that we get, and part of me wishes that I had not read it before because I think that it would have had a bigger impact in this story than it did just reading the short story alone. I really loved the wide range of characters in this. All of them have their own really traumatizing stories to tell, and none of them are good people at all. Putting them all together in one place seems like a recipe for disaster, and it absolutely is. As the story starts to reveal itself and you learn more about who they are and what their true motive is here, you are absolutely taken on the ride of your life. I really think this book is incredible. There's so much I would love to say about it, but it would give too much away. Just know going into this, if you decide to read it, from the beginning, it takes off running and doesn't slow down. I think my top 3 short stories from this would have to be Guts, mostly because it rooted me back to my childhood, as horrible as that is. I can't really get into description on this one in particular because it is of a very sexual nature. It is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. It will turn your stomach from the very beginning. But the impact that it had and the way that it is written obviously stands out well enough to keep you thinking about it later. Another is Slumming, which follows a very rich woman and her husband who have become bored with their money. They're tired of fitting in with the new money crowd, and they want to find a new trend to jump onto to make themselves feel better and not feel so bored anymore. And so they and a couple of other friends decide to start pretending to be homeless, and they roam around this city doing just horrid things. It's very disgusting, and I think I liked it for its concept and the backstory that's kind of going on. Even though this is a pretty scummy thing to do, I feel that this character that tells this story is one of the least horrible out of the group, and there are very few people that go on this retreat that don't make you want to just scratch their eyeballs out. Another is The Nightmare Box, or really anything about Cassandra. I enjoyed The Nightmare Box because it's about this box that's in this art gallery, and inside you hear it ticking. And if you look inside of it, when it stops ticking, whatever they see is so traumatizing that they completely shut down and eventually die. It's never revealed what's inside of that box, but this short story was very engrossing, and it made me incredibly curious to find out exactly what's going on. As with most of this book, there are a lot of themes of humans just being completely vile to each other. There are two in this that were very hard for me to get through. One of them being Speaking Bitterness, where a trans woman joins a female grief group. It's more of them just discussing the horrible things that have happened to them and how much they hate men. And the events that transpire during this were heartbreaking. I had to put this book down because of that story for a little while. And for the most part, I was able to get through this pretty quickly. It's very gross, like I've said, and I'm probably saying that too much, but that's the only way I can describe it. But that story in particular hurt so bad that I really didn't want to continue. I almost skipped over it completely, but I felt it was important to continue reading. So if you have any interest in reading this book, no matter what story it is, but specifically this one, I highly recommend you look into the content warnings because it hurts. It hurts really bad. Another is Exodus, which follows an detective office where they have these dolls to help children who have been abused explain their abuse, and the secretary orders dolls that are anatomically correct, and just the most vile things happen. It's disturbing. It was not fun. Just like Speaking Bitterness, it was not fun to read either of these. It was another that was hard to get through, but not nearly as bad as the one I previously mentioned. Those are the two that I felt were necessary to bring up and warn you about. Even though all the other stories in this are equally as disgusting, those are the ones that just got to me the worst. I don't know. It's just, the book is really good. It's just those in particular that are the hardest. Other than those two stories, this was a fantastic book. I think it was a great way to be introduced to Palahniuk's writing. I know exactly what I'm getting into for the next book that I would like to read by him, and I'm a little more prepared to experience that. I think his writing's really good. The situations that these people put themselves in were fairly believable. Honestly, yeah, I could see just the most vile people agreeing to go through with what their plan is just to make some cash. It's not far off from what some people would do. The themes are very steady throughout this book, just about how horrible humans can be and what lengths they'll go to put themselves ahead, even if it costs them the most important parts of themselves. Anyway, if you have not experienced Chuck Palahniuk, you might want to start with Fight Club. I haven't read that one yet, but from what I understand, it's a little more tame than some of his other stories. I really did enjoy this. I am looking forward to experiencing more of his work. As always, just be aware of the themes that are in his stories. I've heard that they don't get much better from here. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did, and I'm happy to say that I did, even though it's a little embarrassing to admit that. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you have read Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk, please let me know. If I have mispronounced his name, please let me know so that I can say it correctly in any future videos that I do over his books. I hope you've all had a very wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Happy reading!